He was basically homeless, living with relatives. So I wrote this book trying to talk about that life and what it would mean to be part of a community whose well-being was important to you. Ivory used to say, if he had $1, you had 50 cents. And he lived that way. That's how generous he was. Now, unfortunately, I was later to find out if I had $1, he thought he had 50 cents. And that was sometimes not always as inspiring to me as the other way around. But he had a way of working me. He'd say, well, you know, George, I know you're not the kind of person just to sit on your own money when people need help out there, you know? And I said, yeah, okay, Ivory, you know, here it is. Here's my 50 cents. And he made me a better person by doing that. When this book about Ivory came out, and of course we had no way of knowing. It was published almost 3 months to the day before Ivory died. He was only 58 years old. We thought he was going to live a long time and finally get the reward and recognition that he hadn't gotten in life. We started doing appearances on radio shows and television shows. And one conversation really stands out in my mind. It stands out because Ivory was unusually eloquent, but it also stands out because it was the only time the person interviewing us had actually read the book that I had written about Ivory and could ask intelligent questions about it. And she said, Mr. Perry, you were ahead of your time, that you recognized there was a lead poisoning epidemic for poor black and white children long before the medical establishment admitted that it was even possible. And you knew there was a homelessness problem developing at a time when people said there was no need to attend to that. And Mr. Perry, you organized a rent strike in public housing because especially mothers with children couldn't stand the ever-increasing rents in a housing market that otherwise excluded them. And she was saying all these nice things. And I liked that because I thought, here's somebody who's never gotten props, never gotten recognition, and now in public, on television, somebody's saying something nice about him. But I could see, I knew Ivory well enough to know he didn't like this praise. He started squirming in his seat. He started bobbing his head. Every time she said, you were ahead of your time, he frowned. Now this is strange to me. Most people like praise. Most people love praise. Most people think the only thing wrong with praise is when too much praise is going to somebody else. I don't know about you, but I accept all praise, no matter how implausible it is, no matter how insincerely it's offered. And Ivory didn't like to hear these good things about himself, and I didn't know why. Because I knew he felt he had lived an honorable life. But it was this thing about being ahead of his time that bothered him. That's a compliment to most people. But Ivory finally interrupted Lorna Godwin, the woman who was interviewing us. And he said, ahead of my time